Hi Errol, how you doing today or tonight?
Yeah, tonight. Great. Craig, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Hello, near the city in Hangzhou. Um, is still pretty cold there right now. A couple of days now.
Yeah, it's starting to cool down, but yeah, I'm liking it. Kind of reminding me of Canada a bit, so
Yeah,
no
of
complaints.
home sweet home.
Yeah, yeah.
It's exactly the opposite for me from Australia. I want the hot, so
Yeah.
this is the period that I'm not liking.
uh,
So thank you
yeah,
very much
most
for your
people,
time,
yeah.
Errol. First thing I want to ask about is like the COVID here in China, the lockdowns.
Hmm.
How has it sort of affected your business, and how did you sort of plan? How did you get through this sort of stage? Because it's been difficult for everyone that's lived here.
Yeah, you know what? COVID has been extremely difficult for everyone and to varying degrees, right? For me, because what I do for work is marketing, online marketing, e-commerce, everything is online.
Right.
So COVID hasn't really affected me too much. I'm very appreciative of that, very thankful of that. Yeah, so it's been business as usual, but yeah, you can't say the same for everyone else. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
And for some of your businesses that you work with here in China, how did they get affected, or was there any affected? Was it mainly all online?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of online marketing,
Hmm.
it's been steady. It's just gotten more competitive. But in terms of businesses here in China, a lot of Chinese business is exporting, right? Exporting to
Yes.
other countries. And when COVID hit, it really disrupted supply chains
Mm.
and it really disrupted logistics, so freight. So I know those are two big factors that have affected a lot of Chinese companies: their supply chains and also sending goods to other countries on time. The cost of sending goods is extremely expensive now, like sometimes three times the cost pre-COVID. So that's been a big factor for everyone.
And I guess because of the economy as well, none of the money was coming in. So now
Yeah.
the like restaurants and shops in general have to charge excessive amounts to sort of cover their costs.
Exactly right. That's actually the maybe one of the saddest things about this whole COVID is, there's especially in China, there's a lot of these little restaurants, little mom and pop shops, right? A
Yes.
lot of little ones that I like to go to. And I noticed after that lockdown period in China, when things resumed to normal, they weren't there anymore, and
Right.
so that's one of the most heartbreaking things about COVID is some people, they may have saved up their whole life and taken that risk. I'm going to take that risk and start this restaurant, and then boom, something like COVID hit, something you can't plan for. So that was, yeah, that's been a difficult thing for those restaurateurs.
Yeah, and just for me, like I work in the education industry, and at when the first lockdown happened, I come back at the end of 2020, and all of a sudden, 3 months later, the school closed down because they just couldn't.
Mm,
They had so much debt, and they just were trying to
yeah.
backtrack. So, are you involved with any of the schools, like with marketing or development like that?
I was before.
Mm.
So I have a friend who now pre-COVID, he had a very good business. He's a Chinese friend in Shanghai. He had a very good business of bringing foreign talent over to China.
Right.
And he was super busy. Business was going really well. And then boom, COVID hit. And, with your business, think about this. Maybe you can weather a storm for a month,
Yes.
2 months, 3 months, but those months kept piling up. And where are we at right now? 2 or 3 years into this, right?
Mm.
And so he had to close down shop and switch careers because he just couldn't bring foreigners into China. So,
Right. Yeah, it's got so
mhm,
restrictive now. But that's good for me, I guess. Like everyone's leaving, but I've come back. So I guess
yeah,
that's kind of a good thing. So yeah. So
yeah.
Errol, I'm always interested to ask why China for you, and what was the what attracted you to come and live here in China? I mean, everyone's got a story about that. I know some people that, oh yeah, I'll stay there for 12 months and then get experience and then I'll go somewhere else. So
Hmm.
for you, why did you choose China?
Yeah. When I must have just been finishing university, so I would have been 23 years old, somewhere around there. I was selling some products in Canada. I had a little company with a friend, and we were importing this stuff from China. And so our factory was in China. So that's how my first link to China. That was my first link. And
Right.
eventually, I came over to visit the factory, and I guess it just spoke to my personality. Is I liked feeling like a fish out of water. It was totally
Yes.
different here. The experience, it's almost shocking when you can't speak any language and you can't read. Not many people get that. You might get that experience a little bit on a vacation, but not too many people experience that for real everyday life of being illiterate and not being able to speak, right? So I just found it really interesting. I just found it fun. And so I wanted just to stay in China and keep staying here. So I was doing a lot of work remote from China to Canada. Eventually, I said, you know what, I want to settle down here in China, or I should say settle down, stay more permanently. And so I ended up working here in China for a company, and that's kind of how I got my roots here.
And where were your factories, or where were you based when you first come here?
Well, the first place it was in Qingdao.
Ah,
That's where the factory was. So I went to Qingdao, and I thought it was really cool. Have you been to Qingdao?
I actually lived there before, Shanghai.
Okay.
Beautiful city.
Oh,
Yeah.
right on. Beautiful city, right on the coast, right? So
Yeah.
it has a little beach, and it has really nice. What's that called? The International Olympic Port? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the
Olympic.
beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Olympics. Yeah, where they
So
had
you can't go
the
there and
sailing.
not love it.
Yeah.
You can't go to the Olympic Port and not love it. It's really nice, and so that's the first part of China I saw, and I just was like, this is so cool. And from there, it was Suzhou. I saw Suzhou, which is,
Oh,
I mean, super nice, right? Like,
and that's
and I kind of lucked out with the experience. I kept hitting these really nice cities, right?
well, Errol, you're following me because when I first come here, I moved to Suzhou, then I moved to Qingdao,
Oh,
and now I'm in Shanghai. So
there you go.
I'm sure we'll cross paths somewhere
Oh,
along the line.
maybe.
Then.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then from Suzhou, it's Hangzhou. So, I mean, I've been, and Suzhou and Hangzhou are considered two of the most beautiful cities here,
Yes,
right? So, I've
yes.
really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a good experience. And, I think, Craig, you might be able to attest to this too. Time flies out here,
Oh yes,
Time
yes.
just flies. So, before you know it, you've been out here for a couple of years, and you're like, ooh.
And that's exactly. I actually went back to Australia in the last lockdown. I was lucky, one of the few to leave, and I was there for Australia for 3 months in their winter, and it was good, great to see family, obviously, and friends. But maybe 3 or 4 weeks into it, it was like, okay, it's time to go back to Shanghai, and you just get into the routine of being that busy lifestyle and just
Yeah,
never being bored, always having something to do. So I'm I'm
100%.
I'm hooked. So yeah,
100%. Yeah.
I totally feel it. How is your Chinese, by the way?
I've been here for about 4.5 years, so my Chinese is okay, but nothing special. Nothing special. It's enough to get by, kind of, right? But I'm not out like having any deep conversations with anyone. I'm still struggling. How about yourself?
Indian.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're in the
Only
same
very
boat.
little, but all my time I'm mostly English speaking, so it's only a taxi driver
Yeah,
and maybe ordering food, but I rarely
right.
get a chance to speak to the Chinese person. So I'm
Hmm.
learning. I'm learning very slowly.
Yeah,
But
and Shanghai, it's such an international city. There's so much English out there, right? So I mean,
yeah. And I just think about Shanghai as like an opportunity, like you said before, like trying to start opportunity. I think this is a perfect place. It gives you, if you have any sort of ideas, or this is the place to do it. You've got a sort of multicultural, all different from different
yeah.
backgrounds. Yeah, so um, you're the best person to talk about it. Is Shanghai one of the best places to start like a business?
Well, I mean, Shanghai is I guess it's one of. Beijing and Shanghai are business hubs, international business hubs of China, right?
Hmm.
So I think in that respect, it's a great place to start a business, especially if you're a foreigner. I think it's much easier to start, easier in some respects to start a business in Shanghai than maybe some little cities or tier 3 or 4, right? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good place to start business and to do business. So
Yeah, I would agree, absolutely. All right, let's go back to where it all began. So I do believe you were born in Alberta, Canada.
yeah.
Now, from what I know from Alberta, Canada is the wrestling. Some of the famous wrestlers come from Alberta.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know too much more about that. Is that the Calgary Stampede as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. Yeah,
So,
Alberta, the Wild West.
yeah, I've never been there, but I went to Vancouver, but I've never been across there yet. But tell us about growing up there. Were your parents involved in the marketing industry, and what was it like growing up there at the early stages?
So I was, growing up in Alberta. Alberta's the Wild West of Canada. It's kind of there's lots of sprawling fields. There's also some beautiful scenery, mountains. It's a great place for outdoor life, and it's a great place for working as well. Alberta's, I believe it's one of Alberta, so it's a richest province in Canada, I should say. So it is a great place to work, but the lifestyle there is also equally nice, right? So I mean, compared to China, much slower pace.
Yes.
It's a slower pace. There's less people, right? So I mean, you know how that is. So it's a great place to grow up. And yeah, my parents weren't really in marketing. My dad's he was a psychotherapist before he retired, and he had his own private practice. So I guess he did a little bit of marketing for his private practice back in the day. And my mom just retired as well. She worked for the government. So not really marketing for my mom or dad. Did I really get into that? But I guess in a business sense, yes, I guess maybe he picked it up from my dad a little bit. He's always kind of been pretty business savvy with his own companies, etc. So yeah.
And did he have any sort of influence on you, like to get into this sort of field, or where did you sort of pick that up, like getting involved with marketing?
Yeah, I have two sources. So right when in university, I did psychology,
Right.
and while I was taking my psychology degree, I also was in a lot of new media courses, so like filming and graphics and everything. And I also took a lot of marketing courses, just because like I was, you get these blurs, like these side courses that you need to take, and I was always filling mine with those. And I was so I got a good kind of overall, because marketing is really psychology. There's graphic, there's design, there's and so when I was finishing up my degree, I started working for my friend's grandpa's marketing company. And so that's kind of how I got into marketing. So I learned very like old school marketing, but like the essentials, right? And I was kind of like, what, this is really cool. And so I'd say my first marketing mentor, his name was Ed Yance. His name is Ed Yance. And yeah, he taught me a lot about marketing. Same with his grandson, Taylor. They both taught me quite a bit. And my parents also were very supportive. I remember when I wanted to start my own little company and start selling stuff, I needed an initial investment. So I went to my parents and asked them, and like right away they were like, great. And so that really helped out. It was successful. So I guess my parents have been very, very supportive in the process as well.
That's very interesting. And speaking of your family, I do believe you have another successful sibling in your family as well. All I know is that your sister's name is Erica. Tell us about Erica.
I'm surprised. You really do your research. Yes, my sister Erica. She is she's awesome. She is a senior policy analyst in Canada, and she's actually starting a new role as an analyst at a new company he's just starting up here. So my sister has always been a big influence for me as well. I mean, she's always been like a grade A student, very popular. People really like her. And so it was always something to aspire to, I guess you could say, right? So I always grew up I grew up with my identity being, hey, you're Erica's brother, right? And
Yes,
so
that's the quote that I saw online. So I just sort of jotted that down,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
you're the Erica's brother. So
Erica's brother. So
yeah.
she kind of gave me a free pass in life because I was always Erica's brother. So people were nice to me, and I could talk with people. So
And what
very
is she doing?
appreciative of that.
And what is she doing now?
Yeah, well, she was working for the government of Canada as a
Right.
senior policy analyst, and now she's just taken another really nice offer with, I can't remember the company name exactly, but she'll be doing policy analysis as well. So, yeah, really good role, and she's really happy with where she's at in her career. And yeah, I mean, Erica's always done really well for herself in anything that she does. So, I mean, there's no surprises there. So, yeah, I'm really happy for her.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, well done. And wanted to ask too. It said that you did was it a degree in arts as well?
Yeah, Bachelor of Arts and Sciences. So when you do a
Right.
psychology degree, you can do it for science. You can do it for Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts. So I did
Hmm.
Bachelor of Arts, and yeah, I've always kind of lean to the artistic side, not like drawing and stuff, but musically. And so, I mean, same with you.
Mm,
You're a musician, and so
yes.
Craig. Going back to you asked me how I got started in marketing. I didn't really give you the very beginning, so I'll
Yeah,
give you the
sure.
very beginning
Yeah,
where it all started.
absolutely.
So in university, all I really cared about was music. We had a band, and I was playing guitar and trying to sing. And so you make music with your band, right? And that's only half the challenge. The next half is how do you get it out there? How do you
That's
book
right.
these gigs? How do you
Yeah.
get people to listen to this stuff? And so that's where I started marketing our music, right? So that's how my friends and I
Right.
started this little recording studio. We bought this, or yeah, we got this Atco construction trailer, and we converted into a recording studio. And we started recording our band stuff, and I started linking up with rappers in my city recording their stuff, and we
Nice.
started this little collective, and I started marketing people's music and getting in on shows, and that's how it all began.
Right. That's really cool. Like I know how I sort of did it. I was like the guy sort of putting the posters out and even
Yeah.
so I also was listening to one of your podcasts, which we will talk about a little bit later, and you were talking about ways to market. We're jumping ahead a little bit in your career, but
Mhm.
you were talking about steps on how to market your band, like when you're starting off. Can you just sort of give us like a bit of a breakdown on that? What would you say to like
Yeah.
aspiring musicians?
Yeah, sure. So in that podcast episode that you mentioned, it is about, like, let's say you have a band, you're a musician, you want to market yourself, right? That's the thing here. So in that last episode, I was talking to a guy, a good friend of mine who we were in a band before, named Ben Howells. And Ben right now has a band and he's marketing it. And so some tips, some tricks that he has is, number one, if you're doing shows, you're doing you're appearing places, you're bringing people together, you need a way to get those, to convert those live event attendees, to bring them into your digital funnel, right? You want them to be downloading your music, to be receiving your emails. So a big thing that he said for bands is, if you're doing shows, have a QR code on hand. That way you can scan people, get their information, and put them into your email lists, and you can promote your music that way, right? So that was the big takeaway from that episode. I've also done another podcast a couple of years ago about marketing for musicians, and one thing
Mm,
I said, and this is very important, is don't try to do it all yourself. You're gonna need someone to help you. So
yes.
if you're serious about your music, you really want to, and I mean, it depends what your goals are. Let's say you want to make it, you want to become famous or whatever, you're gonna have to try to develop a team rather than doing it all yourself, right? So, um, but what you can do is come out with good content. As a musician, you really want to be focusing on producing content, producing your art, right? You don't want to have to be worrying about sending emails and making 1,000 phone calls, right? So you need to kind of focus on the infrastructure to build a team that's going to help you succeed.
Yeah, and there was a couple of things that I come out of that. I was interested to hear that with Facebook as well. Like you do a post for a show or for your music, and you said that I can't remember the exact quote. There's like 2 or 3% of the people that are actually your friends
Yeah.
will actually see it.
Hmm.
You have to actually
Yeah.
buy, like, boost it to like is it
Yeah,
the
that's a
Instagram or
very good
Facebook?
point, Craig. Yeah, that's a very good point, and maybe musicians wouldn't know this, but marketers would. So back in the day, long time ago, 2009, on Facebook, if you posted on Facebook, all your friends would see that post. So
Yeah.
everyone, you know. So nowadays, though, if let's say you have a million followers and you post, only 1 or 2% of your followers are actually going to see that post organically.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
Wow.
the organic reach is extremely small, and the reason for that is Facebook makes its money from advertising spend. So they want you to pay for that visibility. They don't want to give it for free, right? So if you're a if you're anyone doing any marketing on Facebook, most social media platforms, you need to pay to play.
Hmm. And I've also heard that I didn't hear it mentioned in the last one, but I've also heard that people can actually buy like followers and you know they've got these companies where they can have all these downloads for. So is that recommended as well? Because aren't you going to get caught out in the future? Like if someone actually wants to sell something on your or you know for a podcast, for example, if I say that I've got like 50,000 followers or 1 million followers, and then oh wow, this guy's getting a lot of hits, and then all of a sudden they want to sponsor your show, and then they get no response.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, whenever you're buying followers or buying engagement, it looks cool on the surface, right? It
Yes.
might look cool, but anyone who's going to sponsor you, 99% of the time, they're interested in engagement metrics. So even as a marketer, when I'm working with an influencer, I don't care if you have 1 million followers. I care about your engagement. How many people are actually liking your posts, responding to your posts, And it's very easy to jump on a page and see real engagement. So, I mean, you probably jumped on an Instagram page, someone has like 60,000 followers. You start clicking through their photos and they'll have like 10 likes on an image, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
Or like they'll
it's
have
us.
no comments, and then there's just something off, right? So uh the reason why someone would do that is because it's hard to build an online reputation, right? And that is kind of
Yes.
an indicator of like reputation. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying stuff. Yeah.
And you said that are you currently still marketing musicians back in Canada, or is that sort of stopped?
Well, you know what? I I was marketing one band 3 years ago, and that is my friend Ben. Ben and I played in a band in university, but Ben and I have kind of moved on. So yeah, we became friends in university. It's always been about music, and since I'm into marketing, we began making. Well, Ben's began composing soundscapes for some pretty big companies in
Right.
China, like Starbucks and Hennessy. Like yeah, so that's how we're working now. So we Ben and I are really good friends. We love the music, and so we've kind of just changed. We've pivoted with what we're doing with the music. So I'm no longer in his band, but we're still working on projects together.
That's
Corporate
that's
music, I guess you could say.
that's really cool. That's really cool. So let's get back to your university. So you've done you did your degrees. So what was your sort of you talked about your first work experience as well, but where did you go after you finished your degrees in marketing?
Yeah. So when I finished my first degree in psychology, actually,
Psychology,
before
sorry.
I even
Yes.
graduated, I started working for my friend's family's marketing company, and I learned a lot about traditional marketing. I
Mm.
learned a lot there, and so I
Has
worked
that
there for about.
sorry, Errol. Has that sort of do you still sort of use that old school sort of mentality, or I mean, you still need that sort of foundation, right? And then you sort of the modern version.
You called it, yeah. You know what? The foundation is always there. It's just how you go about marketing changes, right? But I mean, the foundations of marketing have always been, you need to be honest, you need integrity, right? There's no smoke and mirrors, there's no snake oil stuff anymore. You're not going to run some slick ads and trick people or persuade people. It's not about that, right? And so, yeah, a lot of stuff from the traditional marketing, the principles translate over into today. But a lot of the marketing stuff that I do now, that's I learned later from that first marketing company. But the first marketing company I worked for taught me a lot about marketing, right? And so I was there for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I decided, hey, I want to go back to school and do a marketing degree. And I went back to university for a little bit. And after 2 or 3 months, I realized I'd learned way more working at this marketing company for the last couple of years than they could teach me at the university. So I was like, you know what? I already have a psychology degree. I don't need to really be doing another bachelor's in marketing. So from the same university. So I just jumped right back into marketing. And later I did do some more marketing education at the University of Texas. So yeah. So
What was it
and
like
so,
moving from there to Texas?
well, I actually that was I did that completely remote. Though I thought it was supposed to be on campus stuff I was doing, and so it's funny when the tests are online though. So when I actually received my diploma, or I don't know, certificate per se, they were like, hey, you have to come down to the office to get it. And I'm like, I'm not actually there. They were kind of confused, but yeah, I was confused too, but it all worked out. So yeah, getting an education in marketing is good, right? It is good, but you can learn the lingo, you can learn the terminology, but marketing is a hands-on.
Yes.
It's a hands-on game, right? So everything I've learned has been really hands-on and through experience.
And then where did you go from there? Like, so you finished that degree, and then you started your own business, right? It was.
Well, I'd actually started my own before that. So
Right.
I was learning, and that's why I was kind of interested in learning more about marketing, because I had this business and I was like, what I enjoy. I didn't like the accounting. There's some stuff I didn't like, but I really liked the marketing aspect. That's what I was good at. So I said, I'm going to improve my marketing stuff, right? So I was learning and then testing on my own, and that's what really helped. And so that's how I got a good grasp of everything, and it just became a passion. So that's how it all linked up. And then eventually I moved to China. I was working remote, so still doing the same thing, but working remote. And then after a while, you need a work permit, a work visa, a work permit to like stay in China nicely, right?
Yes.
To get an apartment. So after a while, I was sick of living in hotels. I said, look, let's start a marketing career here in China. And that's what I did.
Yeah. And then was it difficult at the start to, I mean, you've already like you said, you already had like already businesses here that you were working with here in China. Was it hard? Was it difficult to set it up here in China?
Not really, because I don't do any marketing inside China. My Chinese isn't good enough, and the marketing atmosphere in China is way different. It's ahead in some respects and it's behind in other respects in the West. So most of the marketing I do is in the West. So I didn't really have to set up anything here. The only time I set up here is when I started working for a company in China. That's when I set up in China pretty much. Yeah.
Right. So I've just got the list here, like Vasalta. Is that the one from Canada?
Yeah, that's the company I started. So
And
when I was
then
younger, so
and then you got Member Electric Grinders and hi-spec tools. So it's getting very hands-on. So yeah,
yeah.
got to start somewhere.
Yeah, so right now
was this your passion?
Yeah. Well, I'm a marketing director for a company out here called Diversitech. Owns a bunch of different brands and companies. So so I've had my hands in a couple of different companies at the same time. So
yeah. And then when did you sort of start to think about doing what you're currently doing at the moment, digital growth simplified? 2018.
Well, yeah, it's how I got into that is I think people were just asking me questions a lot. Hey, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I was just kind of helping people. And then I think that's around when I was like, I really love the marketing. I don't just, it's not a job for me. It's just, I really like it. I study it in my free time, and so that's when I said, this is something that I really want to do. So I just started consulting for people, consulting for companies, started working companies in different countries. And then, yeah, it's just kind of grown from there. Yeah.
So it says
And
that like you're dealing with businesses all over the world. What businesses are you dealing with from Australia? I'm very interested to hear about this.
Yeah, so I was dealing with a winery in Australia. There's a lot of good vineyards in Australia, so I was doing some stuff there. There's also this a jewel company out in Australia that I was doing some stuff with. Yeah, so but mostly with the wine companies. No, but I really want to. And as you know, Craig, traveling right now is just like, right? So I have all these travel plans that have just not manifested over the last couple of years, but they're still I won't forget them. So Australia, I really want to go to. Korea, I really want to go to. Have you been to Korea?
South Korea, yes.
Oh, cool.
Pre-COVID. Everything was all pre-COVID.
There you go. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Korea, Japan, Philippines, like all around China. You get some time off, and you can just 2 or 3 hour flight this way, 2 hour flight that way. So, but yeah, we're on the same boat. So hopefully, the next couple of weeks they can change the restrictions. Speaking of that, I live in Newcastle, and the Hunter Valley is the second biggest vineyard. So I'm interested to hear can you remember what the wine company was, or because I'm sure that we would have we've got a lot of companies coming out, wine distributors from the Hunter Valley where I live.
Geez, I should remember the name. It's called Wine or I can't remember the name of the wine company, but I also did an event in Wuxi, China a couple of years ago, and I brought their wines into that event, so they sponsored the event too. I should really I'm just blanking on their name right now.
That's cool.
I'm also working with another wine company right now, so it's like, ooh.
Yeah, right. So talking about this new marketing company. So who are the people that are coming to you? I've been to your website, and it says like the 6 steps, and the first one is like the think room is number 1.
Yeah.
Can you sort of elaborate about that? Like if a band wants to come to your website, or who should come? Like, is it just big name, big business companies, or is it somebody that wants to start up a company? Like, who are you targeting?
It's really like anyone. It's really anyone. And sometimes even like the person who's just starting up, that scrappy marketing can be more difficult than some of this corporate marketing, right? So, and it can be so it's really, really anyone. And so you'll see on my website that the Think Room really is your first consultation, because you might have some agencies, you might have an SEO agency, and all they're going to be, but you can't really tell someone what they need to do without speaking with them, right? Really getting down, learning what they do, learning what resources they have, and then coming up with a marketing plan, right? So, yeah, the first step whenever you're doing anything in marketing is to discuss with your client and figure out what they want to achieve and what works best, right? I mean, you might be able to a tactic that works great for a medium-sized company with 100 employees, 200 employees, doesn't work for another company who has 4 employees, right? They don't have the manpower, they don't have the budget. So it really depends on each situation. So I never make any promises or have any cookie cutter, hey, do this for anyone, because the situation always changes, and that's half the fun of marketing. So
yeah, right. And then it goes through here like hybrid office. Do you want to just briefly go through the little steps here that you have?
Cool. Yeah, so hybrid office is cool, and that's kind of something I did for the smaller companies. And this is something that I needed at first when I started is you want to start an office, you want people to work for you. Maybe you need an employee or two, but it's expensive, right? Hiring someone.
Yes.
You hire someone, you have to put them on salary, you pay benefits, insurance, all this stuff. With hybrid office, I can get you virtual assistants, virtual workers, so people who work from their computer, and they can assist you, and the cost can be as low as like $6 an hour with no taxes or anything, right? So that's just a really good way if you're a small business or a business of any size and you're looking to bring people on to do digital tasks. This really helps. So, maybe you want an assistant to answer your emails or run your social media or reach out to people or do phone calls, anything. Right.
Me.
Yeah. So
podcast.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's difficult to you can't like put out a full job thing. But if you wanted just someone to, it's expensive to hire someone on full time. Right. But with hybrid office, it allows you to do that, but really cheap.
Good. Yeah, I'm the same. I've had a couple of people that have sort of tried to help me with social media, but it's expensive, it's time consuming, so
yeah,
we might have to talk later on about that.
For sure. Yeah,
some marketing, and for the future, Errol, I see that plans for the future. So I also read that you're looking at developing some apps now.
A lot of the big marketers I look up to, it seems like the pinnacle of being a marketer is when you have your own app. So that's something I someday would like to aspire to. Right now, I don't have the time or the resources to, and I don't really know how I go about it. Right, I don't have any like app developers or anything.
How difficult would that be to do? But
yeah, I have no clue. But I know I don't have that team right now. But I don't even know where I'd want to start. But it's just something cool to aspire to create an app. To create an app, it'd be a challenge.
Absolutely. Are there any musical plans in the future, or is that career just gone?
The musical dream never dies, Craig.
Yeah, that's right.
Dies. So
that's right.
So within arm's reach of my desk I'm sitting at here, I have 2 Fender Stratocasters ready to go at all times. So I think music is always just something I enjoy, right? I enjoy. I don't record any songs anymore, or work on any projects, but I still play guitar, and I get fulfillment out of that. So, after a long day of work or on a weekend, you just go on YouTube, put on a backtrack, and then kind of play and noodle around. I like doing that. So.
Yeah, right. And besides the app and music, what does the future hold for Errol?
What does the future hold for me? You know what, Craig? I try not to look too far into the future, because one thing I've noticed about my life is, if I look at a 5-year segment and compare it to the next 5-year segment, as they almost seem totally unrelated. Like if you asked me 5 years before I came to China if I would ever come to China, I would look at you and be like, what do you no, and then once I'm in China, if you ask me, will you still be here after 5 years, I would have told you like, oh, of course not. I need to go home. Here I am still, right? And so I don't know what the future holds. I really don't know, but I pray that it will be bright.
Right. What advice would you give to someone that wants to do what you're doing at the moment?
You mean in terms of career or living abroad, or?
Yeah. Or both, really.
Both. Well, if you want to live abroad, first thing I would do is, just get on Google and start researching. So much, you can do so much, and it just starts with a Google search. Search what you want to do. So if you want to live abroad, start looking into it. Take that first step, and whatever your research brings you to, write that down. As soon as you write it down, it becomes physical, it becomes something, and then you can figure out your next step. So take it step by step. Career-wise,
Yeah.
career-wise, what I would say is, you know, you just, it's cliche to say find something you enjoy, because a lot of us don't know what we enjoy, but I would say give stuff a try and just show up and try, right? If you want to get into cybersecurity, get on Google and type in, I want to start a cybersecurity career. What's the first step, you know? So for me, I knew I wanted to get into marketing, and I knew, well, I need to start learning more. So I started doing education. I started practicing on my own stuff, you know? So you just need to get out there and try every day. Do something that brings you closer to that goal. Even if it feels small, still do it.
Yeah, that's good advice. Errol, tell us about your social medias and where can people find you, and for our international listeners as well.
Sure. You know what? I maintain a small social media presence. I'm on LinkedIn, a little bit on YouTube, but just here and there I'll put a video up there. But LinkedIn is where you can find me best. www.linkedin.com/ I think it's /Errol Vas. I'm not too sure. You can put the link up later, but yeah, LinkedIn is where I'm at. That's my social. I also have my website, errolvas.com, ERROLVAS.com. So if you have any marketing questions or you need help, just go on there and shoot me a message.
And I forgot to, I wrote down 2 quotes. You've won a couple of awards as well. Award-winning marketer. What was it? Top digital marketing professional, and another, the leading marketing mind in China, and a magazine, Kurara magazine, in this year, April of 2022. How do these praises? How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel great.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for those, and it's really nice when you get recognition for anything, right? So yeah, I'm very humbled by it and very appreciative.
Yeah, that's an amazing achievement. And was that
Thank you.
actually, that was in China, right? Actually, yeah, leading marketing mind in China. That's an amazing achievement, especially for a foreign person. Like, you would understand if it was someone from a Chinese background. Hey, congratulations.
What I noticed on there was, thank you, I really appreciate it. What I noticed on that list was they were all foreigners, so I think it meant like I think it was like it is an English publication, so I think they just were looking at foreign marketers inside China type deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Before we go, Errol, I'd just like to ask a couple of quick questions, and you give me your top 2 or 3 favorite things of all time, as of today. Doesn't have.
Oh, nice.
Don't think about it too much. Just give me your top 2 or 3.
Cool.
As of today. All right. So we've talked about music.
I like this.
You've got your guitar. So who are your top 3 favorite bands of all time? Or artists.
Okay, I'd have to go. 1 would be Sublime.
Very nice.
A 2, I have to give it to the Pixies. I don't know if you know Pixies.
Very nice.
I have to give it to them. And 3, I would have to give it to our boys, the Strokes.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Actually, one of the bands I'm currently in at the moment, we're a 2-piece as well. 3 favorite bands from Canada.
3 favorite bands from Canada. Ooh. I'm going to have to... 3 favorite bands from Canada. Can I even name 3?
Can you name?
My favorite band in Canada is Howells. Howells. They're not fully mainstream, but that's probably my favorite Canadian band right now.
Yeah.
Another favorite band Canada would be who else is even Canadian?
Or do you have 1 or 2 up and coming bands from Canada?
I'm just so removed from the
The
scene
scene.
for so long. So the
Yeah.
scene. So how about I just give you my favorite Canadian band, and that would
Sure.
be Howls.
Okay. All right. Your top 2 or 3 favorite books.
My top 2 or 3 favorite books. I think was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's a classic. Another book that I really enjoyed is Purple Cow by Seth Godin. And, I read this book when I was really young, and it gave me a really good experience. And so maybe it's not a favorite now, but I have to pay homage to it. Is I read the Amityville Horror, the book, when I was a, so I'll give it the third spot.
Do you have 2 or 3 marketing mentors?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd say I first got in. It was Neil Patel, Seth Godin, and my third one is Brian Dean.
Okay. And in terms of movies, your top 2 or 3 favorite movies of all time?
Oh, okay. Well, I'd say my top would be Star Wars. Any of them. I really love Star Wars. So I mean, do I have to pick one, or can I just say the whole series?
Whole series is fine by me.
Yeah, Star Wars. I love it. So that'd be like my first. Second would be Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. Third favorite movies of all time. Ooh, this is a tough one. Can I give you a third one? Would be anything with Jeff Goldblum in it is a classic.
Yes, of course. What's the best advice that you've ever got?
The best advice I ever got was definitely from one of my first mentors, Ed Yance, at the first marketing company I worked for. And I was preparing to do a presentation to the manager of our city. And he came into the room and he asked my friend and I, have you guys prepared? And we hadn't really prepared, or we prepared, but we didn't do a run through. We didn't do we didn't run through our pitch. And he said, Errol, if you walk out into the river, if you shoot yourself in the foot, you can still waddle out. But if you shoot yourself in the head, you're done. So he says, if you practice, even if you do a bad job, you might just shoot yourself in the foot. But if you don't practice, you could shoot yourself in the head, and then and then lose the whole thing. So he worded it much better than what I'm wording it right now, but that really stuck with me. So it's whenever I think about, oh, should I prepare for this? Should I do a run through? I always do it because I say, if you practice, even on your worst day, you might just, shoot yourself in the foot. But if you don't practice, it could be a train wreck, right? So that's a piece of advice that's really stuck with me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Preparation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last one. And it
Sure.
might be similar. Who is your greatest inspiration / hero, and why?
My greatest inspiration / hero. Ooh.
This always gets everyone, no matter how many times.
Yeah. Because there's just so many, and it's you know what, big inspiration / hero. One that really stuck out for me growing up was Muhammad Ali. I learned a lot about him, and I just really liked that. Always kind of stuck to his beliefs. He really stuck to his beliefs, even when it came at a cost to him. Another person I really looked up to is Dave Chappelle, the comedian, because he kind of did the same thing. He would not bend his integrity. He stayed true to himself, and even when, I'm not sure if you're familiar with his story, but they offered him $50 million to do a show, and he turned it down just for his own integrity, and everyone thought his career was over. So I always respected that, and when I learned about his story, the story behind all the comedy, it's just really inspiring. So yeah, Muhammad Ali and Dave Chappelle are two big inspirations for me.
Yeah, that's a great way to finish it. Errol, it's been great to talk to you. A truly inspiring story coming from Canada, and you've worked really hard. You can see that you've done lots of study, and you're helping a lot of people. And all the best for the future. And let's catch up and have a jam, and let's have a beer as well.
That sounds great, Craig. I really appreciate you having me on your show, and I'm very impressed by the amount of research and the things you knew about me. So that really took me by surprise, a pleasant surprise. So very positive experience, and yeah, looking forward to catching up someday in person, and we'll have to do a little jam and grab a drink as well.
All right. Thanks for your time again, Errol.
All right.
Bye
Thanks,
for now.
Craig. Take care.